Hey, what's up, fellow movie watchers? Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to the latest edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. In this video, I will cover the movies that were released on October the 6th, 2017. So the first film that I will cover in this video is Blade Runner 2049, rated R. It is the long-awaited sequel to the original classic Blade Runner from 1982. It stars Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Robin Wright, and Jared Leto. It is from acclaimed and artistic director Denis Villeneuve. I hope I pronounced that right. Denis Villeneuve. He's French-Canadian. And that's a name that you're going to want to know from now on, Denis Villeneuve, because he's one of the best up-and-coming directors around. I mean, he directed Prisoners with Hugh Jackman, Sicario with Emily Blunt, and last year's Academy Award-nominated film Arrival, one of the best alien invasion films in years. Seriously, if you haven't seen Arrival yet, you should really see that one too. Now, being the cinephile that I am, I regret to say I have never seen the original Blade Runner. I mean, yeah, I know, put down the knife. I mean, I meant to see it over the years, but I just never really had the time. I know everything about it, the synopsis and what who stars in it. I just never have actually, physically have seen it. And it's kind of important to see the original because, the story continues on in the new sequel that we're just kind of out now. So if you haven't seen the original, don't worry. A brief synopsis. The original Blade Runner, which was directed by Ridley Scott, was set in a dystopian Los Angeles in 2019, 2 years from now, so yeah. It starred Harrison Ford as Rick Deckard, who is a Blade Runner. And that's someone who's tasked to hunt down and retire or kill replicants. Replicants in that movie are bioengineered humans that were created to work on the off-world colonies. But then a group of rogue replicants ends up, coming back to Earth, and Rick Deckard ends up getting pulled out of retirement and is tasked with hunting down and killing these rogues. But in the process, he has a change of heart, especially when he falls in love with one of the replicants named Rachel, played by Sean Young. Now, Blade Runner 2049, as you might already guess, takes place 30 years after the original. The new main character, Kay, played by Ryan Gosling, is a new kind of a replicant. These ones are more obedient to humans, and they even have implanted false memories. And he also is a Blade Runner. And the movie opens up, his first task is to hunt down another rogue replicant, and kill him, if you will. And in the process there, he discovers a burial plot containing some skeletal remains. These remains are examined, and it's determined that they belong to a replicant named Rachel. Oh no! And it was also found out this remains went through a cesarean section, so she gave birth to a child. And all of a sudden, this is unusual because replicants, they're not supposed to be able to give birth to children. And it's also, this is serious because, there's been severe unrest between the humans and replicants over the years. And if it's discovered that, replicants can now have children, well, then it could lead to, they would realize they no longer need humans, and it could lead to an outright war. And so, avoiding this, they want, Kay, played by Ryan Gosling, is told by superiors, destroy all evidence of this child. I mean, and also they find out, this could be connected to Rick Deckard, who hasn't been seen in years, so he also has to hunt down Rick Deckard and find this missing child. Now, what happened to Rick Deckard, and who is this missing child? Well, you'll have to see to find out. Now, let me start off by saying this movie is visually stunning. I mean, but I would expect nothing less from a Denis Villeneuve film, of course. I mean, every frame of this movie felt like looking at a work of art. I mean, I was impressed. And everything from it, like the sound and the cinematography and the music, and the acting, everything is just phenomenal. And Harrison Ford, of course, reprises his role as Rick Deckard from the original. And although he doesn't show up until the last third of the movie, he really does make use of his limited screen time. Now, I must say, for those of you who are impatient, the movie's a little long. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and the pacing is not exactly brisk. So, for all of you who are impatient, you're like, just tough it out because you do not want to miss one of the best films of the year so far. Yes, you heard me. Of course, my grade for this movie, I would give it an A. And that's pretty rare because I don't usually hand out A's unless it's a spectacular movie. And this one really is. So it's actually my number one recommendation for you to see. I mean, if you can see it in theaters, trying really hard to see it because, It really does a great job of recreating the world that Ridley Scott created way back in 1982. And also Denis Villeneuve, Denis Villeneuve. Remember that name because any movie now coming out with his name on it, you really would want to see it because he's one to watch out for. So, Jeffrey Michael's recommendation, go see it. So, the next movie that I will cover is The Mountain Between Us, rated PG-13. It stars Kate Winslet and Idris Elba and is based on the novel by Charles Martin. Now, The Mountain Between Us is about two strangers, played by Winslet and Elba, who meet in an Idaho airport. They don't know each other, and both their flights have been canceled, and they both have to get to the same destination quickly. It's her wedding the next day, and he's a surgeon who has to, do important surgery. So with her help, they're both able to book passage on a small airplane, just the two of them and their pilot. Now, all this happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and with the first 10 minutes, their pilot suffers a stroke, and they crash land in the Utah mountains because who needs a first act? Let's just get right to the plot, right? Now, of course, their pilot doesn't make it, and it's just the two of them and the pilot's dog, a yellow lab who pretty much steals the spotlight, stranded in the Rocky Mountains. Now, basically, it's just like the movie Alive, but with less cannibalism. So obviously, since they're stranded, they're left with one of two options. You can either, wait for help to come, even though there are airplanes flying overhead that are way too high to see them, or, despite her broken leg, they must trudge down the mountain to hope they come across a mountain village or town. So of course they choose the latter. Now, will they make it out alive, and will they possibly pursue a romance in the meantime? I won't spoil anything for you guys. Let me just start out by saying that this movie was okay. I mean, for a movie that's about survival, I mean, there has to be like some sort of like urgency, like, oh, we got to get out here quickly. But the way the material was, it's like they treated it too lightheartedly, like too much light dialogue. It's like, does this happen every week to you guys? I mean, they're such great actors, Kate Winslet and Idris Elba. I wish they had stronger material to work with. I mean, as a survival movie or as a romance, I mean, I don't think it really hits either one. So unfortunately for this one, ladies and gentlemen, I think I would give it a C. I mean, they deserve much better material. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this one, sorry. Okay, so let's move on to my next movie, which is Victoria and Abdul, rated PG-13. It stars Judi Dench and Ali Fazal, and is directed by the incredible Stephen Frears. Stephen Frears has directed films like The Queen with Helen Mirren, Philomena with Judi Dench, and Florence Foster Jenkins with Meryl Streep. Now, all three of those actresses have all gotten Oscar nominations for each of those three films, so if you haven't seen The Queen, Philomena, or Florence Foster Jenkins yet, I would recommend all three of those to everybody. Now, Queen Victoria and Abdul is set in 1887. The Queen, Victoria, played by Judi Dench. By the way, this is her second time playing Queen Victoria, and she's already played Queen Elizabeth, so if you need an actress to play a queen, Judi Dench or Helen Mirren is on the go. And so Queen Victoria's in her 80s, she's bored, she's tired, and all of a sudden becomes intrigued with her new Indian servant from India, who is Abdul Karim. And she's so intrigued by him that she stops making him a servant, and he starts to become her mentor, her teacher, or munshi, if you will. And all the royal household are appalled by this. They all do not approve of this at all throughout the movie. Overall, this was a really cute and fun movie. A great costume. I'm a sucker for a period drama. Although I must say, this wasn't one of Stephen Frears' best. I mean, one thing that bugged me throughout the film is that, it's supposed to be about Victoria and Abdul, and yet Abdul isn't as developed as the character as I hoped he would be. But it's still, though, a fun, nice little period film that will charm anyone. Judi Dench has that ability to charm anyone. And she also is just a great job, especially in a scene where she mourns the loss of her husband. It's really touching. Overall, I'd give this one a B. It's still, a nice fun time. If you want to see it, it's a nice fun time, movie to watch. It's just not one of Stephen Frears' best, But still, check it out, though. And the last film released on October the 6th is My Little Pony, the movie. Now, I did not see this one, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't plan to. And not because it's bad, but listen, as a little boy who grew up in the late 80s, I was more into the My Little Pony of that generation, Generation 1 My Little Ponies. These little My Little Ponies are Generation 4 for all you super fans out there, so, I don't want to see this movie because, they're not your My Little Ponies, they're my Little Ponies. Anyway, if you really want to see that one, take your little girls want to see it, or even little boys, go ahead. But not for me, though. I mean, it's not My Little Ponies. Anyway, we're moving on. Recap. Blade Runner 2049. A. Another visually stunning film from the great Denis Villeneuve. My number one recommendation in this video, and all of fall 2017 to be honest. Everybody should see this one. The Mountain Between Us. C. An okay survival film that deserved better material for its two main leads. I wouldn't recommend this one. Victorian Abdul. B. Cute period piece starring the legendary Judi Dench. See it. And My Little Pony the movie. No grade since I didn't see it. And I don't plan to see it too because they're not My Little Ponies. And that'll do it for the latest edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody. So long for now.